Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching Green Wave TV Alternative Media Television. So I want to dig into Bilderberg 2013. I've been doing a lot of research today. Of course, there's a lot of reports, well, not covered by the mainstream media at least. On the meeting itself, we've seen the images of the transhumanist sculpture coming out of the water with the skin burning off, this merger between man, machine, and technology. And we've seen the list. The list you can look up on Google, get the official document of who exactly is in attendance. This is global leadership. These are politicians. These are big bankers, multi-billionaires meeting in a secret room, a very secretive meeting where they've basically locked down all the airspace. They prevent the mainstream media, the alternative media from really getting any kind of footage or any authentic coverage. They've built a barrier around the event itself. And again, people want to know, what exactly are these people doing? Are they just, eating a little tea and crumpets and smoking cigars and, laughing back and forth? Are they planning future world events? Are they thinking about and planning the economics of how they're going to roll out of the largest bond bubble here in the United States in the history of America with, treasury bonds likely to just be decimated in the coming months as we basically don't recover, but we basically collapse out of these 0% interest rates and these yields that have been artificially put down to zero. One of the principal attendees of Bilderberg specifically I'd like to focus on tonight is a gentleman by the name of Peter Thiel. Many of you are probably familiar with him. He is, of course, the co-founder of PayPal. Made a lot of his money. He's known as the Don of the PayPal mafia. A lot of these people, individuals, multi-billionaires, have their hands in all kinds of investments around the world. Peter Thiel made most of his money. Actually, is one of the first investors in Facebook, buying a 10% stake from Mark Zuckerberg. He's worth an estimated $1.5 billion. Also very interesting about Thiel is he is an avowed libertarian. He was also the principal donor, the largest donor, correct me if I'm wrong, donating some $3.8 million into the Liberty Super PAC in support of presidential candidate Ron Paul. A lot of you probably don't know that. Very interesting. He also has his hands, and he has a venture capital fund that invests in emerging technologies. He's a transhumanist. He's also openly gay. They're investing in companies that are basically looking for ways to extend human life into infinity, kind of this fountain of youth, live forever. Google Zeitgeist, some of you have probably heard of, which is an event pre-Bilderberg every year, which is almost becoming bigger than Bilderberg. We have people like the co-founders of, like Eric Schmidt, getting together along with these other technological financiers. But Peter Thiel, he's a very interesting company. He has another company specifically that has co-invested along with the CIA hedge fund In-Q-Tel. You can look this up, but I'll put a link in the description box below, which is connected to data mining and is a company that data mines basically information as a counterintelligence unit here in the United States. And he invests in other technologies like artificial intelligence, but interpretive artificial intelligence that can actively learn behavior, but can be interpreted by human beings. So we have organizations here in the United States like the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, Mossad outside of the United States, etc., in very high need of this technology. Now keep in mind, this is at the advent of breaking new authoritarian technology, in my opinion, which is really just the equivalent of installing an RFID chip in your retina, Google Glass, which is actually thankfully getting a lot of heated debate among the general public. Bars, certain companies, institutions are banning the technology where you're going to wear this overlay where you're just looking at ads all day. This is all about setting up a control system and setting up a control grid to control human behavior. But back to Bilderberg, what are they doing there? Are they planning the invasion or the continuation of the invasion in Syria, the geopolitics in the Middle East. Of course, we had the ouster of people like Muammar Gaddafi, the murder of Muammar Gaddafi. Now we have the ouster or the attempted ouster of Bashar al-Assad. We have these latest scandals in Benghazi, Christopher Stevens, his connection with the CIA, President Barack Obama emblazoned in that. The IRS scandal itself, the wiretapping at the Associated Press of hundreds of journalists. We had Lindsey Graham come out today, along with others, saying that they don't believe that bloggers should have the same First Amendment right as traditional journalists that read teleprompters. Which I find hilarious, because the new journalism is blogging. That's all that journalism is. Even the New York Times is just an official blog. I would be really worried if I actually worked for the mainstream media, because you have a half-life of maybe just a few years before we fully transition where the internet has moved to TV. I'm watching YouTube videos right now, beaming them to my TV. We're almost there, but we're not quite there yet. But very interesting, and specifically Peter Thiel himself, this billionaire with heavy connections to the libertarian movement, the Liberty Movement itself, also the largest contributor and donor to the Ron Paul campaign for presidency in 2012, a transhumanist on the inside. Now that's something Alex Jones never talks about. That's something that I don't hear Mark Dice and these people talking about. So what does that make Ron Paul then? What does that make these people? What does that make Peter Thiel? Is he one of the evildoers, as former President George W. Bush liked to say about the terrorists overseas, Al-Qaeda, the Easter Bunny? Is he an evildoer? Because he's on the inside. He's a regular attendee. Google Zeitgeist, the Bilderberg meeting, he's there right now. And I have sources. I have a confirmed source that actually knows Peter Thiel personally. Now, I've known about this information for some time. And I've been a critic, an open critic, although I've supported Ron Paul in the past, in his campaign for presidency. I've also been an open critic of Ron Paul when things didn't pass the smell test. So these are very important questions I don't see anybody covering and anybody really delving into. What we do know for sure is these are highly, highly secretive meetings. And we have some of the most important, influential, and wealthy people that paid zero tax, by the way. They pay 10% aggregate tax. These people, these billionaires, compared to 65% or 40%, here in the United States, tax into infinity. What are these people doing? Who is Peter Thiel? What team or side is he on? What does this mean for people like Ron Paul, the Liberty Movement itself? Peter Thiel also has been a big contributor and donor to the Seasteading Institute, which I actually think is pretty cool. We've covered that in length. We've also, Topher Morrison's covered that with AMTV News. We have these independent, autonomous units and governments and social systems really in a contained experiment. A lot of Silicon Valley millionaires, billionaires have invested in this technology. But now we have a merger and an integration with Peter Thiel and one of his companies, which I can't think of the specific name, but I'll put it in the description box below, which is connected with the CIA Venture Capital Fund. Also, there's been intense speculation and even a presentation by the Bitcoin founder giving a presentation to the CIA Venture Capital Fund / hedge fund. The CIA very tied in to all this that is happening. To me, this is pretty interesting, maybe very damning of what's going on the inside. But in terms of bringing real truth and real media to the public, we actually have to evaluate what's really going on internally within the Liberty Movement itself. And we have to ask the hard and difficult questions. So Peter Thiel, is he on the inside? Is he one of the Illuminati? Is he one of the evildoers? Or is he perhaps a double agent working for the Liberty Movement? Again, these people are very, very smart. They don't call him the Don of the PayPal Mafia for nothing. They don't call him the Don in Silicon Valley for nothing. Multi-billionaires, highly successful, highly intelligent. I'll put a link for a debate I actually watched Peter Thiel in, debating another Silicon Valley billionaire. Just happened a couple of months ago. He talks about the deceleration of growth in America. He's very pessimistic going forward. He says that, since the 1800s up till 1970, that was a period of accelerating growth, but now it's decelerating, and it's looking very, very negative for the United States, economically, financially, and really the only areas that are doing anything and that are expected to save the world is technology. But can technology save the world, or is it only saving these people? Is it only saving Silicon Valley? I mean, if we rounded up all the billionaires attending this meeting and and all the billionaires in America in this, that are influential and that have this power and control, and we see this huge distribution between the ultra elite and ultra wealthy and the very poor in this country, where it seems like the middle class and the middle class has very much been eradicated, we would barely cover or make a dent in this U.S. national debt, yet alone service interest payments or anything like that. So we are in an unprecedented situation here in the United States, and it is truly unbelievable. Bilderberg 2013. I'm Christopher Green. This is a special report. Who is Peter Thiel? How and why is he so connected with people like Ron Paul? Again, the largest donor to the Liberty Super PAC. Why don't people like Alex Jones out there talk about the connections between these high-profile people? Is it because they have their hands in the liberty movement? Is it because they're perhaps counterintelligence, or they're a part of this, or they're linked to the CIA, FBI themselves? Who the heck really knows? But as any investigative, critical thinker, journalist, and I consider myself to be, we need to ask these fundamental questions. I encourage you, put your comments, questions in the description box below. Again, this is a two-way street, America. I'm Christopher Green, as always, hard-hitting in your face. Thanks for joining me this evening. Please subscribe to me on YouTube at cgreen34, Facebook at Greenwave TV, and Twitter at Greenwave, and get it out to all your social media networks. Peace.